I wanted to go over some recent release notes for d7x. Let's get started. First off, we can now map drives from d7x. If you go to Config, go to Session, now we have different tabs here now. On our first tab, under Session Paths and Files, we have Map Network Drives. Basically, you can assign a drive letter, give it a UNC path, and you can optionally give it a username and password. Additionally, you can leave the drive letter blank and it will auto-assign drive letters starting with Z and working backwards. If the drive letter that you do assign, say you want Q, is taken, it will start with auto-assigning from Z and working backwards. Next up, I wanted to show you custom apps, and we have a couple of new features in our custom apps. I'm just going to open one to show you. The first feature is something that actually existed in dsupport suite a long time ago, and we've just added this to d7x, and that is exit code actions. So if you're waiting for the app to terminate, which is required for our exit code actions to be recognized, you can configure an exit code, like say exit code 0 is usually a normal exit. Run custom app. You can run, give it a custom app name. You can send an email, or you can show a message box. This is or has been useful in the past with apps like Microsoft Defender, where it would return, instead of error level 0 for a normal exit, it would return like error level 1 if it found threats, or error level 2 if it found threats and couldn't remove them, or something to that effect. So we have those options here. We've got 1, 2, we've got first exit code, second exit code, and all other exit codes. Exit codes are also known as error levels, so sometimes I've referred to them as error levels, if you've seen that. The next new feature we have in custom apps is under our download settings, you now have an extract password. So when you have a zip file that you're downloading, if it's password protected, you can extract it with the password. The extract password comes in handy, say if you have a licensed app that you've purchased and you have a specific license for it, and you can't just configure a custom app to download it from the app's website because your license file has to be with the app. So you could put that on, say, your own website and host the download. And with an extract password, you can password protect that so no one else can get access to your app. Only D7X would extract it. Our next new feature is D7X has now done away with system mode. As you can see right here, we have trusted installer mode. All functionality in D7X that previously used system account access to bypass file system and registry permissions now uses trusted installer account instead of the system account. The trusted installer account it basically is the system account with a few additional permissions that you'll run into issues with sometimes that only trusted installer can access. So now you can run D7X as trusted installer if you want to. That also applies to other programs. In our Runbox, we have run as trusted installer. You can still run as system user. The other new feature in the Runbox is the command line arguments, the capture exit code, and all of these features are now available with all of these options. You can run as trust installer, system user, current user, which is going to have administrative privileges if you're running D7X because it has administrative privileges, and so everything that it runs will as well. And then you can run as a basic user, which will de-elevate that down to standard user privileges. And sometimes some apps need to run like that. For example, my default programs manager, not that you would use this through D7X, but it has to run as a standard user. Moving on, we also have a new tab, that is D7X Tools. And in the D7X Tools tab, we've got KillEmAll, Malware Search Tool, Program Blocker, Event Log Viewer, our Uninstaller, and the File Unlocker. These are all utilities that have been in d7x before, but a lot of them have been new and improved, and we've just sort of brought them into our focus with the d7x Tools tab. More on the Trusted Installer feature. Now when you decide to run one of these apps, you get a prompt that says, would you like to start under the Trusted Installer account? This should bypass any system permissions issues. And it used to be the system account, and now we're running under Trusted Installer. I should also mention that Run as Trusted Installer also happens way faster than the older Run as System account features because we're not relying on an external program anymore to run that, and that's another new option in D7. I also wanted to show you that you can run any D7X functionality from this tab through this box here, and it will all appear here, so you don't actually have to add it to your custom lists for your other tabs. So if we just search for, say, temp files, you can go ahead and delete temp files right now and just run it from here. Next up, I'm going to take you inside KillEmAll, and we'll just start that under the Trusted Installer account. We'll cancel. KillEmAll has some new features since last year, the last time I did a release notes video. For one, we can now block programs. This used to be the old IFEO modifier. It's now called Program Blocker, and it's also block programs, prevent programs from running here. It's the same functionality. It's just been moved into integrated interface with KillEmAll. You can also block programs from the internet only. So if you have some running programs that you want to just block from internet access, you can do that as well. And just click block program down here. That will block my program from the internet. We have Uninstaller, which was integrated into KillEmAll last year. Uninstaller is still here and still functions the same, but we have a new tab which is an uninstaller for Microsoft Store apps. Those Windows Store apps install in different locations than in the registry than your standard programs, Win32 programs. So a separate interface was required for that. So we have a different tab for this, but we have the same rules. We have the same program rules, so you can add a blacklist or a whitelist rule. The blacklist rule will automatically uninstall all of those apps that you need to uninstall. The whitelist rule will hide them from you so that you don't see them. Nothing is really new here, but we do have the file system and registry search, which actually this is new since last year. This used to be in a different location and it operates a little differently now. File system and registry search, these are delete rules for files and directories. So essentially you can just click here for the documentation if you like, but essentially you just place your files, one file or directory on each line, full path, or you can use variables. The rule variables are explained right here on this page. The rule variables will be used, so like you can use D for the system drive and W for Windows directory, etc. You can have all these files and directories automatically deleted. We can do registry keys. So place each registry key on a new line. Registry values. We have registry values, so you would place a key and a value name on each new line. And we have a results column for what was deleted. The next thing I want to show you is in the Malware Search tool. And we'll start this under the TrustedInstaller account as well. In the Malware Search tool, there are a few new locations in registry inspection. They're all integrated into what they should be, like the run values. Everything is under run, so there are some additional run keys in Windows 10 that we've added to this. Okay. Our file system inspection is the same. Nothing has really changed. If you're not familiar with this tool, I should just tell you that what the premise of this tool is there are definition files that will whitelist entries that you know are good. So for example, the file system inspection will scan your file system. Say we'll look in program files, and this is going to find everything in program files. Well, you can whitelist these items in program files, and you'll never see them again. That way, when you look at these lists, you're only going to see the files and directories that you don't recognize, that d7x doesn't recognize. So that significantly cuts down on what you have to browse through, like instead of browsing through Windows Explorer manually for malicious software. That premise applies to the file system, the registry inspection as well. And we also have a new option here, and this is what I wanted to get into, is scheduled tasks. As you can see, there's a lot of scheduled tasks here, a lot of them in subfolders, and this is something that since Windows 7 there's been tons of scheduled tasks for Windows. They're all in subfolders, and you can see them all here. Now this operates on the same premise as everything else in Malware Search tool. We have a whitelist, and when we whitelist files, they won't appear for us. So in the future, we're only going to see what we don't whitelist. So I could select all of these and just take off some and we'll whitelist everything, and then this is what we have left. Now, I actually just removed the definitions that come with d7x, and if you don't have those, you can always get those if you just check for updates. Malware Search tool, now that I've put the definitions back, I did that on my other monitor where you can't see. We'll go back here and we only have these scheduled tasks because all of the other scheduled tasks have been whitelisted. Those are something that d7x knows are part of Windows, and it's not going to show you those. Everything else you can go through here and just whitelist as you need. And now, anytime you go into a future system and you take a peek through scheduled tasks, you're only going to see what's on the system that d7x doesn't recognize. The Tweaks tab has been completely redesigned. Now, most tweaks are actually designed for Windows 10. There are some obscure tweaks that are still designed for other versions of Windows on this tab, but all of these other tabs are designed for Windows 10 and will work with lesser versions of Windows as the options apply. So for example, disable telemetry and data collection. That works for Windows 10, is designed for Windows 10, but it will also work on Windows 8.x and Windows even 7. Windows 7 uses the Customer Experience Improvement Program and a few other small things. So on Windows 7, all of those settings are combined into this one setting, and depending on the version of Windows you're on, it will disable the telemetry and data collection as necessary. Another thing you're going to notice is these boxes aren't checked or unchecked, they're also shaded in. These boxes are shaded in because the Tweaks tab and every tweak on it, or most every tweak on the tabs here, will now detect the tweak state. So if the tweak has already been applied, it will be shaded in. Functionality, we've got new tweaks for the power plan. You can select now Ultimate Performance. You can force Ultimate Performance. If it's not available and you select this option, it'll go down to High Performance if it's not available. We've also got our individual settings for screen, disk, and sleep and hibernation timeouts. On our Interface Explorer tab, we've got everything here that you would expect. Desktop, we've got new options to create the desktop shortcuts that you want to whatever web pages that you want. So you can just check this here and give it a name and a URL. You can use www, you can start with HTTP or HTTPS, it doesn't matter. Move on to file sharing and networking. This is a good thing. This is the first area of the tweaks that does not automatically detect when they're applied, just so you know. That's not really possible with most of these options, so it doesn't happen for any of them. And the same would apply to some of these obscure tweaks. I also wanted to show you that when you right-click, since we don't have our buttons anymore, if you would just right-click on the item, you can undo the tweak, that's new, or you can apply the tweak if it's not been applied, as you see here. Finally, I want to tell you that d7x can now run from write-protected media. USB drives with write protection, you can now enable that write protection, and you can still run d7x directly from the flash drive without it copying any parts of itself over to the local system. It will only create the folders on the local system that it needs for reporting purposes. Now you've got protection from other processes that might modify or tamper with d7x. I hope this has been an eye-opening video, and we'll see you next time.